Hi, good morning. How are you? How's your week been? I wasn't 100% sure if I was going to do this video. Today was, well, when this is going up, it was supposed to be a vlog video, my weekly vlog, but I decided while shooting, well, prepping to shoot this, that it would only be right if I separated them, just because it's really hard to talk about the topic that we're going to talk about today and also, finish it off with my favorite guacamole recipe. It's not the same. So this is what we're talking about today. And also, hi, if you do not know me, my name is Joy Kendi. Nice to meet you. If you're new, welcome. How do we even go at this? So if you own a TV or internet or a phone or anything where you have any sort of connection to anything that's happening outside your house, you should know everything that's happening within Kenya globally, specifically talking about issues when it comes to police brutality. Now, the reason why I'm doing this video is because I feel like we need to have the discussion, not just what's happening in the US, but we really do need to talk about what's happening in Kenya. We can't turn a blind eye just because our roar is just not as loud as what's going on in the US. For this video, I wanted to be able to speak on both sides, mainly because I have seen both sides. I'm Kenyan. I have seen police brutality. We all know the stories. I have also seen it with my own eyes when I was younger. And also when it comes to the US aspect, when we are talking about police brutality, it's a race thing. And for me personally, I have experienced racism with me. I've seen my loved ones experience it, friends, and I just wanted to be able to speak on both ends. Now, this is a very hot topic, so I feel like in the comment section, let's try to be polite to each other. Let's be respectful of each other. You might not agree with what I am saying. You might not agree with what I believe in, but I still believe that people can get their points across while still respecting the other person. Even if somebody in the comment section says something that you don't like, I feel like we still need to be respectful of each other. So the first thing I want to tackle is the issues in Kenya. I want to do that because I feel like it's not talked about enough. It's not a point of discussion often, and I've always wondered why that is. And also, guys, I'm just freeballing here when it comes to this video. I have no structure, no notes, no nothing. I've always wondered why we don't talk about it that much, and I think, my opinion, I feel like we've just gotten used to it. Not that people agree with it. Sorry, let me take off my glasses. Not that people agree with it, but it's been a thing for such a long time, and I feel especially when it comes to the government and the way they act on it or don't act on it, we've kind of just learned how to be numb to it, where it's almost like, why even talk about it? Because what's gonna happen? Nobody's gonna be held responsible. Why even bother? But I feel like it's hitting us a lot more now than it has in the past, because with everything that's happening with the pandemic, the levels of police brutality have increased at a level that is like mind-blowing, and almost like the numbness that we've had over the years has, like, it's almost evaporated to where like our hearts are involved again, which had like, I don't know how else to explain it. Just this year alone, countless of Kenyans have been murdered by the police. Countless. And from my recollection, I can't even think of one officer who's been held accountable. Maybe there has been, and if there has, please let me know in the comment section and for what case. And I'm at the point right now that I personally don't even know what to do. I have signed so many petitions. I speak on it as much as I can on social media. I try not to speak too much, which is also my fault. I've decided I'm going to stop doing that. I'm always kind of nervous when it comes to this topic, where in my head I'm just like, am I speaking too much about it? Am I becoming a downer? Am I like, and there's also that little thing of like, if I speak about this one thing, there's always somebody on the other side, like in the DMs, being like, but you haven't talked about this, to where you're just like, I'm sorry, I wanted to speak about this one thing, so I also don't want to be attacked for not mentioning something. But when does you trying not to be a Debbie Downer become the problem? If that makes any sense. It's just a tough situation to talk about, and it's such a tough situation that we are going through, and I'm almost at a loss of like, I really genuinely don't even know what to do about it. I don't know how to help. I don't know, like, okay, let's sign all the petitions, let's raise money for victims, and then what? You know, because at the end of the day, if the police are not being policed, how is that helping? And now we're in the middle of a global lockdown, because basically every single country is on a lockdown due to a pandemic. And at a time when people are terrified as to what's going to happen 2 weeks from now, 2 months from now, a year from now, people have lost jobs, people are not able to feed their families. At a time like this, you're still hearing about police brutality, where you're just like, how is that even possible? And I've always tried to like wrap my head around like the thought process of, hey, we have built a curfew to keep this virus from spreading. Now, some people still have to work, but you're on your way home and you're 5 minutes late, and me as a police officer, I will beat you half to death, or in many cases to death, because you're a few minutes late to getting into the house. How is that even a logical decision? How is that even a logical thing to do? How is that even something that you even think of? Like Samuel Mina. And the reason why I'm mentioning him is because, number one, he is a victim of police brutality, but his face and what he went through is a well-known story. He was a man who was just 13 minutes late to get to his house, and he was like this close to his gate. Instead of the cops being like, yo, you're late, try not to do that again, they just decided, let's beat him, rob him, and then leave him for dead. I have talked about this through my social media, and I usually get a lot of DMs back from people, and we usually go back and forth of like, what can we do? What is wrong? Is it the society? Is it the people? Is it the government? Like, what is the issue? And of course, we talk about things like, what does it take for somebody to be a police officer? The requirements should be different. Is it also an issue of pay? If people are paid better, they care more. Because I also like to think about like the aspect of like having a nanny. If you have a nanny and you pay them basically jack, how do you expect that person to care for your child with the same care that you would give them? It's so many different issues, and people have so many different takes on it, and I love having these conversations with you guys. And I don't know, like, I just wanted to just talk, because I'm just trying to understand what's going on. And also something else that I noticed when a lot of these stories come out about police brutality and curfews and things like that. And again, I'm mainly speaking about this quarantine time. A lot of people, not many, but there's always those people who, when a news story like this comes out, there's always those like 7 people, 8 people in the comment sections who are always saying, yeah, but what were they doing outside the house after curfew anyways? With the entire story that you've just read, how is that the one thing that you've picked out? Like, well, you shouldn't have been outside the house anyways, and the cops wouldn't have killed you. These people are supposed to protect and serve. Like, they shouldn't be killing you point blank, period. If you're not doing anything wrong, you're late home. But for argument's sake, let's say, yeah, Samuel Maina, who was just 15 minutes late or just 13 minutes late getting into his house, was basically almost beaten to death and left on the streets like an animal to die. Let's just take that argument. Yeah. What was he doing out in the streets that late? He should have been home before 7. Okay, but there's also cases of Yasin Moya, a 13-year-old boy who was in his house on a balcony watching the mayhem that was happening outside and got shot by a stray freaking bullet. He wasn't outside, he wasn't breaking curfew, he was just a kid, and he was shot in the stomach and died from being on his balcony because the cops just don't care. I'm just tired. I don't know how else to even go at this. How do you guys feel about everything that's been going on? How do you guys feel about the police brutality? Have you guys been having these conversations with friends, loved ones, family members? It's just a lot. Like, it's very heavy. And let's also be honest about one thing. Any community that is viewed as below a certain tax bracket, they're the ones who are affected the most. They're the ones who the cops feel can harass, abuse, murder, and not much will happen because the topic will not be covered for long. But the people who this is actually happening to, nobody. I mean, we speak about it for like a minute or like for a segment in the news, or, you know, we share Insta stories about it, or we talk about it briefly on a YouTube video, but then what after that? I don't know. I just like, I'm sad because I just don't know what to do. Have you guys ever experienced police brutality in Kenya? Like, you personally, have you seen it? I think the first time I actually saw police brutality, I mean, I had seen a few cases when I was really young, cops beating people out of the buses. Remember when people used to like pack themselves to the brim in buses? With a better memory and being more aware what was happening, I remember when I was 22, I was shopping in Ngara. If you guys don't remember Ngara, like, it used to be a full shopping situation. That's where you go for like thrift shopping if you didn't want to go all the way to Gikomba, things like that. And it was just on my way home. And a lot of the times the cops wouldn't show up, but every once in a while they would. And of course it would always start with tear gas and things like that. Then everybody will, you know, disperse. And I remember one time the truck with all the cops like stopped in the middle of the road. A bunch of guys like jumped out. And I remember my friend Joki just grabbing me and like running. And we're all just running toward the direction. I remember turning back, and one of the street hawkers had been caught by the cops, and it was a female, and the guy was just hitting her over. Like, I just remember her like always trying to like cover herself from the beatings. Like, she just kept on like putting herself in almost like a ball form to like cover her head and like her neck, and he just kept on going. And I remember just like being dragged, but also looking back, like, I saw the woman like 2 days later, like when I was getting off the bus again to just head home. But I did ask her how she was, and she said like, you know, she was hurt really bad, and like they mainly got her on her back and things like that. And she like was showing me like through her t-shirt, and she had like a couple of bruises. And I just want us to speak on it more. I want more stories to be told. I want more victims to feel confident enough to tell their story, even if it's telling it to, you know, a news outlet personally without them actually pressing any charges. Because I know a lot of people fear pressing charges because of what the police might do to them again for pressing charges. So with that said, down below in my description box, I'm gonna put down all the petitions that I know of, that I've signed, everything, anything else that I find online within the next week before this video goes up. Samuel Maina's petition. There is a general petition when it comes to police brutality in Kenya. I'm also going to be looking for any organizations or anything that is trying to raise money for victims, families of victims. and I'll also put that information down below. I personally haven't found any organizations actually raising money for victims. I haven't found any. If you guys know any, let's share that information. Let's help out where we can. And also, as everyone continues to share all the stories that are going on in the US and with race and police brutality and things revolving around that, let's also keep that same energy for what is happening in Kenya. Now let's move on to race. See, this is why I can't do this video and also vlog. Like, it's a lot. Like, it's just, ugh. All right, let's talk about race. Race is a doozy. Race is a lot. I'm Kenyan, I'm black, born in Kenya. To me, I didn't even know anything about race. I wasn't born thinking about race. And the reason why I am saying this is because a lot of people in the US learn about race at a very young age, a crazy young age. We're lucky to be in a country where we see ourselves in majority of everybody. And yes, I know we have our issues with tribalism and everything. That's a whole different video. We can't tackle both. It's a lot. But we live in a place where we see ourselves in everybody. We see ourselves in TV, we see ourselves in billboards, we see ourselves everywhere. But race is a huge, it has a life of its own, not just in the US, Europe, Asia. But I'm gonna speak on racism when it comes to the US because it's the one that I'm most familiar with. It's the one that I have experienced. It's the one I know best on through life of experience. So for me, race wasn't even a thing until I think the first time I met a white man, but that was when I was really young. That was when I was in Kenya. So I met somebody who was white, one of my mom's colleagues or something like that. I don't really remember the relation. I just remember being like, oh, he's different looking. Okay, cool. Then I moved on with my life. Fast forward to me moving to the US. I grew up in Michigan, East Lansing, Michigan. Now, East Lansing itself, it's almost like a melting pot. There are so many people from so many different countries, cultures, everything. It's a melting pot because of the university that's in the center. Now, with that said, it is still predominantly white. And in a place where I viewed it as a melting pot of so many cultures, you'll meet people from everywhere around the world. We still dealt with racism, which was shocking. Even when it would happen, each time I'm just like, wow, we're not even in like the backwoods of Alabama. This is different. My first experience with racism, I was in the 4th grade, and this white kid called me a nigger. I did not know what that was because I lived in a household of only black people. I came from a country of black people. And the only reason I knew that what they were saying was wrong is because they were saying it in a ha ha, you know that kid's thing, ha ha, nigger, nigger, ha ha ha. That was my first experience with racism. Since then, the entire time that I was raised there, I experienced it in different small ways. I don't want to say small because like racism is not right. But I did not realize how much it bothered me until I moved back to Kenya. Because just the aspect of me not feeling black is like the most, and it seems like such a small thing, but it's actually big when you felt black in many situations. And then coming back to a place where I'm just like, I'm just like a girl just hanging out, whatever. It is a very big deal to not feel black. It was, yes, a melting pot, but it was still predominantly white. And with that, there was always that little spray of racism that would just, you know, that just show up in your face once in a while. There would be some obvious ones where, again, little kids calling you nigger. Other experiences that I had when it comes to race, especially more obvious ones, I remember in high school. So at this time we were at lunch and I remember this kid, my sister had a group of international friends. So all her best friends while we were in high school, while she was in high school, were Cameroonian, Brazil, Zimbabwe, Kenya, all in like one cluster. And this kid thought it would be so hilarious to go to the cluster of international students who are also predominantly black, and break a stink bomb. Because stink bombs, like, these come in like this little glass thing, and it was disgusting. It smells like rotting eggs and things like that. He broke it, made sure that it was just underneath their table, and he would say, ew, ew, look at these guys, so disgusting, ew. He was a white boy. The level of anger that I felt when I saw that happen, I have never felt that before. Like, I've had race pointed towards me, but like, there's something about when that type of thing is pointed against, like, you know, somebody that you love, like, you're ready to like fight. Another example of racism was when my mom and I were heading to the library. She needed to get some work done, and I also needed to study. And on the way there, her car broke down. I can't remember what, like, it just started smoking, and it happened to stop right in front of a frat house. Now, fraternity is just one big old house that has like a bunch of like 18 to 20-year-olds stuffed inside who drink all day, go to class, and then party all night. I mean, there's more to a fraternity, but that's what they looked like to me. So while she called AAA to come fix the car situation, these white guys come out of their house. Mind you, we're just minding our own damn business. They come out of the house to just be like, hey, yo, go back to where you came from. And then one boy goes, nigger. America, y'all. Land of the free, home of the brave. Don't get me wrong, the US still has some great things. It does. And we took advantage of those great things while we were there. But the racism and to deal with ignorant people saying ignorant things just because of the color of your skin, I just don't feel like dealing with people thinking I'm lesser than just because of the color of my skin. Ooh, speaking of lesser than, my sister, while in high school, when you get to your junior year, you start planning out your college. So you start with the application process, figuring out what schools that you want to apply to. You start like scheduling out when you're going to do your ACTs, SATs, the whole shebang. So my sister, being the diligent person that she is, decided to get ahead of the entire situation and speak to a counselor. While she was speaking to the counselor, so the school counselor is basically supposed to help you, is basically supposed to guide you like where to go with the grades that you have, what are your best options, what schools are best for you given your location, amount of money that you guys can afford, the whole bit. So when she went to go speak to this counselor, Mr. Taylor, I'll always remember him, he point blank told my sister that she should not think too hard about going to college, that maybe she should focus on like maybe getting some sort of vocational training because he's not really sure about what schools she could possibly get into. And, you know, that's her only options. Now, this man did not even ask her what her name was, didn't even look her up on his computer. He just assumed that there's no way she's gonna get into any college. Mind you, my sister is a freaking genius. To graduate high school, the highest grade is a 4.0. My sister graduated with a 4.09. That's my sister. Like, she's a genius. Like, she's book smart so hard that it hurts my feelings. And I know you're also wondering, how can you graduate with a 4.09 if the highest is like 4.0? Like, how do you go, like, it's because when you are like my sister, you'll get to a point where you have actually finished all the classes that are required for you to graduate from high school, which she did, and aced every single one of them. My mom loved that. She aced every single one of them, finished all the classes to where her only other options was to take some college level classes. And she aced those too, hence the 4.09. And this man just looked at her and was just like, yeah, you're not even gonna get into any college, like, relax. Like, just like do some vocational training, you'll be fine. My sister got into every single college she applied to. Every single university, she applied to it. But this man was just like, due to the color of the skin that is on you, I'm not seeing how it's possible for you to get into any college. Sorry. With the police, I have been in cars with a cousin or my best friend's brother. I remember we were driving home I don't know why she wasn't in the car with, oh, we went to go pick her up and then we're gonna go somewhere. Anyways, he was driving. This is my best friend's brother. We were driving, minding our own business, and I noticed that he had like a little scanner thing on, like, in his car. And every single time you drive past like any police or anybody who's doing a speedometer or just any cop, that thing would always beep, so you know, so you can, like, I don't know, slow down or whatever. So I pointed it out and he told me, oh no, it's not because I speed, it's because he knows that he can get pulled over for any reason. So when that thing goes off, he makes sure that everything is up to par. Like, do I have my license? Okay, cool. What's the speed limit? Okay, it's 30. I'm going 29. Okay, let me just make sure it's exactly 30 so that there's no reason for me to be pulled over, because if it's 28, I might be pulled over for going too slow. If it's 31, I'm speeding. Let me, like, he had to get to the point of putting devices in the car so that when he gets close to a cop, he makes sure that everything is up to par so that he can avoid the likelihood of him being pulled over. And that day, we passed like the third cop and he got pulled over for absolutely no reason. The cop even asked him, do you know how fast you were going? He said exactly how fast he was going. He was going precisely the speed limit. And the cop didn't even tell him, like, oh no, you were speeding. They were just like, okay. License and registration. Went, checked everything, made sure that he has no criminal record. Then he just comes, gives back everything, is like, bye. Mind you, all rules on the road were being followed. And to this day, I know for a fact that he was stopped because he was black. And the car was decent. Like, it was a decent looking car with a black man behind it. So when I tell you that it was so nice moving back here and getting that label of like the black girl off, it was amazing. Like, it was so nice. It's very small, but it's a big freaking deal. I'm not saying that we don't have our problems. Oh my God, we got 99 problems, but racism ain't one. So when people are talking about police brutality in the US, they're talking about the racial aspect of police brutality. The fact that a man can get killed because he's viewed as a threat because he just happens to be black. And a white counterpart can do the exact same thing and get a slap on the wrist and just like, well, don't do that again. Or situations where a man is reaching over to get his driver's license, one that a cop has asked for, and the cop freaks out because he must be picking up a gun because he's a black man and shoots him to death. Whereas a white man can go into a church, a black church, and kill 9 people, and he is arrested with no incident. It's the world that we're living in. It is what it is, I guess. I don't know. I'm also tired as hell because of that. And for me, I'm just more scared because I still have friends who are there. I have family who's there. My nephew. Yeah. So I just wanted to just talk about that. Yeah, this is a crap way to end the weekend for myself. I'm gonna get back to vlogging my daily or weekly vlog stuff starting tomorrow. Tomorrow's Monday, today's Sunday. And I'm glad that I actually separated these, just cause I just didn't want to water this down with like, okay, well, police brutality in Kenya, people dying, also people dying in America. Cool, let's make an omelet. Like, I didn't want to water it down that way. I also didn't think it was right to do that. I'm just exhausted. I feel like let's just keep talking about these topics. Basically, that's how I want to conclude this video. Let's continue talking about these topics. Let's continue discussing them. Let's discuss them online. Let's discuss them on TV. Let's discuss them with each other, friends. Let's continue sharing. And towards the end of this video, I just want to take the last minute or so, I don't know how long it's going to take, to, have like a moment of silence for all the victims for police brutality. Yeah, so anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Let's keep the conversation going. Let's talk in the comment section down below. And again, let's be respectful to each other. If you disagree with something I'm saying, that's totally fine and that's totally okay. Speak that, but respectfully. If you disagree with something that somebody is saying in the comment section, speak that, but respectfully. But most importantly, let's just keep this conversation going. And as we continue sharing all the disgusting things happening around the globe, let's keep that same energy for what's happening here. This is not a, why are you talking about that? Why don't you talk about this? Because there's a lot of that happening on social media. It's been like that for a while, I've noticed. If I talk about one thing, I'll get somebody else saying, why are you not talking about this? And I'll talk about this one thing, why aren't you not talking about this? It's not about that. Let's just keep these conversations going, okay? If there's something that I've missed, I'm sorry. I just wanted to just get on this camera and just talk to you guys. And again, I'll put as much information as I can down below. See you guys in the next video.